Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode was brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play Team. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Listeners should know that this podcast episode will include mature scenes and mature themes. This podcast episode uses the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game rules written by Matt Forbeck. All content, including names, places, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. And now, on to our show.
Thank you for joining us on the Old Ways podcast. Welcome back to Marvel's Multiverse RPG, issue 2 of the Anger Management series. Tonight we have a solo episode. I will let her introduce herself. Who's at the table with me?
You have with you Rosie, she, her of Odd Duck Dice, who is going to be playing Chase Blaze, also she, her, pizza delivery person and potential arsonist, and owner of a moped.
And I, of course, am narrator James. You may recognize my voice as I am featured frequently on the podcast. But tonight I will be your narrator on Earth 618, a nearby multiverse Earth to the Marvel Earth that you may be well acquainted with familiar names and sometimes not so familiar names. Chase, you find yourself one leg astride the moped, hand on the ignition button to start it. This has gone absolutely sideways, but there is a face in front of you that not only is slightly familiar, a little tickle in the back of your head like you've seen it before, but you definitely have seen the videos online and you know who that is, especially by the crudely painted white skull in the middle of his t-shirt, and only a face that's currently giving you a look that could only come from Frank Castle, a man known as the Punisher. He has a child over one shoulder who is currently squirming and kind of freaking out because they're afraid. And he looks startled, to say the least, definitely taken aback, but the moment only lasts a split second, long enough for you to register the look on his face as that voice. This is the Chicago Police Department. Put your hands in the air. And lights surround Frank and you. Flashlight lights out of the darkness. A couple of squads, spotlights as well. They are mostly, it seems, trained on him. Because, well, you're a pizza delivery person. That's Frank Castle.
Okay, that's fine by me. She's covered in, what, blood and ash?
Blood and ash, yes.
So given that they're all focused on Frank, she's just going to very quietly sort of roll her moped away.
As you start to move, you see two squad members, like in flak vests, start to hustle towards you. Not as if they're going to tackle you, but as if they think maybe they're going to help you out of the line of fire because things are about to get really terrible. And they don't know the half of it. As you are pushing your moped, you instinctively look back to that, again, strangely familiar face as he looks at you and then puts one hand over the face of the little kid, mostly over their eyes, as you see the other hand drop something on the pavement. You look back as the thing hits the pavement, and there is a ear-shattering, brain-scrambling series of concussive bangs and bright flashes of light and smoke that emanates from Frank's general vicinity. You immediately begin to hear coughing, gagging sounds from the officers nearby as your eyes also start to water. They are now slowing their approach, as it were.
Chase is going to take this opportunity to get the fuck out.
Ah, the old GTFO maneuver. Very good.
Yep.
So Chase has a pretty golden opportunity right now. I will say that without having to roll, the amount of distraction that Frank has given you with the flashbangs, you do hear a frightened yelp from the kid, but you don't hear any pain sounds. And you hear the sounds of yelling, and there is some gunfire, but you don't think you think it might be wild, panicked fire from the less seasoned police in and on the force.
Okay. she's going to get on her bike, start it, just go off. She knows that she's physically vulnerable as she is right now, but she's just going to hope that nobody accidentally shoots her and hope she doesn't get shot, lethally anyway. And she knows the area really well because she delivers pizza around here.
You absolutely do. The sound of gunfire behind you fades not as into the distance as you would like it to fade completely, and yet you can still hear it. But you hear it at a much safer distance now, and that's really what concerns you. You flee through the neighborhood, take a left, take a right, left, right. You're not really concerning yourself with where you're going, just getting the hell out of there. Eventually, hands somewhat shaken, not from the violence, but from that many officers with that many guns out. That would make anyone's hands shake a little bit, especially with that much wildfire. You take a moment, take your helmet back off, breathe in a breath or two of the somewhat brisk air, realize you're in one of the old brownstone neighborhoods here in Chicago proper, more towards the old Wrigleyville area. And you've really driven quite a ways, actually, coming up from where you were previously, which is on the northern edge of the south side. You've been driving probably a bit more recklessly than you realize now that you're here. Or maybe you look down at your moped and the adorable little pipes on the back are cooling, but maybe they were running a little hotter than they should have been as you were driving. Can't be 100% certain anymore.
That's a disconcerting thought. She glances back behind herself. Does the road happen to still be, road, or is it a bunch of slag?
It's road. It's road still.
Okay, good.
Yep, you're good. You didn't light anything on fire as you drove through or anything. You're not sure the old moped can keep taking this sort of fuel injection treatment, but she'll be okay one more time. Yeah. She's a tough old girl.
Well, I'm going to keep her as long as I can. She's so cute.
And it doesn't cost much to fill her up.
No.
Money.
Pizza.
You never collected any money for the fare. The whole pizza was in the place when it got lit up.
Fuck. Well, before I can... What time is it?
Late evening now, so we're going to say like 9:30, 9:45 now. Okay.
Well, before I can go back and try to get another fare, I should clean up. Oh, fuck. That might have all been on the news. I should let them know I'm not dead or anything.
You run your hand through your hair out of stress as you say that, and it kind of comes back kind of a sticky, tangled mess.
Yeah.
So you head off to your own place. It's a crappy, but, Chicago crappy, which really just means small and old. I mean, everything still pretty much works. Your neighbor, or your super Mr. Russell, he's a 75-year-old man. He will eventually fix everything that you need to, but he's, not exactly a spring chicken anymore. You walk by, his door opens a kind of a crack. Oh, is that you? Who's out there? Who's it?
No, it's not me at all. I'm not whoever you think I am.
Oh, well, you're not somebody who's late with the rent then?
No.
Good, because I wouldn't have to worry about that. That would be something that would make me very upset. I'm going to go sit back down in my chair. Turns around with a chuckle and closes the door behind him.
Bless that man.
You go upstairs and take care of your washing out of the ash, soot, and chunks from off of you. The various sooty viscera, as it were.
Yeah. I'm trying to think how one would clean a shower after that.
Very carefully.
Very carefully. She's going to rinse herself off and check her phone to make sure there aren't any concerned messages from her coworkers or anything on the news, because someone will probably watching the news at work, and they at least would have realized that she was going to be in that neighborhood. And she has been out of contact for a while, so it kind of depends on how busy the store is. But since no one was waiting for her at her apartment, it's probably fine. And then goes to, I guess, get the bleach to wash out her tub if there isn't anything urgent on her phone.
After about 20 minutes of Comet, bleach, and one of those green scrubby pads, your hands and fingernails and the tub finally all feel and look clean, which is nice. This is, unfortunately, not the first time you've had to, we'll say, deep clean the tub, but it hasn't looked that good in a while. Chase has her hair up in a towel. She's tossed on some comfy clothes and fed the hamster, who is happily squeaking away in the corner in his little glass terrarium and tube maze. There is many an hour that you have wondered if the hamster in fact lives better than you, but, you know, what can you do? So, after you've gotten clean and you are starting to feel somewhat human, what's your plan then?
Go back to work?
Go back to work? Aren't you the ambitious little ant?
I mean, like, I have rent to pay, as I've been reminded. Because, I mean, just because you get some debts forgiven doesn't mean all of your debts go away. So at least she doesn't have to worry about the big debt anymore, but she still needs to pay the rent. So losing those habits that she built up trying to take care of the other stuff, it's not worth letting them go.
No. I mean, you know, a blessing is a blessing.
Yeah, sure, regardless of how much bleach you need to use on the tub.
So, after a moment or two of finally being settled onto the couch, eating just one good scoop of the double fudge chocolate ice cream that you had stashed in the back of the freezer, you've gotten one spoonful of it in your mouth, and there's a rather firm knock on your door.
Oh, okay. Does not put down the ice cream or take the spoon out of her mouth. She leaves that spoon in her mouth and enjoys that chocolatey goodness. And goes over to the door to open it. Does not pretend to be happy to see whoever's there because she wanted to just sit home alone with her chocolatey goodness.
On the other side of the door is a pale woman. She's wearing a black dress, long black shawl, black fingernails. In some women, in some people, this would be goth excessiveness, but on her, it seems to fit. She says, are you the Chase?
I am Chase. That's my name. Yeah.
Wow, wonderful. May I come in? She kind of gestures into your living room. There is much we should discuss.
Chase does not give her verbal permission because she still doesn't know how a lot of this stuff works, but she does step aside. Doesn't know if that will help any.
Make me a vigilance roll, please.
Only because you said please.
Oh.
13. Plus the 3 in vigilance is 16.
You step to the side. Your leg turns to the side. She doesn't enter. She looks up at you as if she's waiting for something. The hair on the back of your neck starts to raise a little as she smiles even a little wider. You see what you originally mistook for mascaraed eyelashes and such are actually look like black fissures around her eyes and such. She says,
Please, let us come in. We would like to discuss many things with you.
Please come in.
The smile gets even wider. And at this point, as you say, please come in, the smile gets extremely wide, wider probably than a person's smile should be.
She says, oh, child, you should be very careful.
As her foot steps in, you see it the facade of the black boots and the black clothing burns away. There is a same height, but shimmering, you don't want to say black, it's more just like the absence of light cloth around this figure. And you can't tell if it's feminine or masculine, or it's human, you're sure, but its eyes, where the balls should be, the eyeballs are not there. There's just an empty socket that seems to be held open just by air, and the mouth grins a wide grin that has a pointed, you'd say piranha-like, but it's probably a fairly decent comparison.
We know who you are.
Well, you're a grower and a shower, huh? Okay. So why don't you tell me who you are then, please?
As Chase backs away from this figure, as it walks towards Chase, its height seems to almost unfold. And what originally was the height of maybe a woman a little under the height of Chase is now, you would say, about 7 feet tall. Chase is definitely looking up at this eyeless face.
We are the keepers. You are wrong here.
And it points a very long, bony finger at you.
Okay. You need to explain that a little bit to me, please?
It seems to be willing to do so as it's slowly advancing towards you as you back out of the room, I assume?
It's a crappy one-bedroom studio apartment. Not so much back out of the room as back into the mattress.
Gotcha.
Or the pull-out couch.
You feel your futon bump into the back of your calf as it takes another lanky step forward.
You have power that does not belong to you. We want it.
It makes a kind of a grasping motion with its hand as it reaches towards you.
Well, hold up there. Okay, because I don't want what I have either, really. So if we can talk about this, there might be something there. I don't know. I would like to stop being on fire sometimes.
Distantly, you hear a very deep and throaty from inside your head. It takes another step forward on its long, spindly legs that don't seem like there would be enough musculature to actually hold up the rest of the body. Its eyeless face coming towards you. Your hair begins to move in a breeze that has come up, and you realize the breeze is coming towards the eye and mouth holes of this creature as it speaks. There's almost a whistling sound. It's getting uncomfortably close now. You still have a spoon in your mouth.
Pulls that out and sort of wiggles it at it. It's like, hold on, I am armed here.
Bit of double fudge chocolate ice cream lands in front of the creature on the floor with a small plop.
And you are in my home. Do you need me to revoke my invitation?
It pauses for a moment and then begins to advance much more quickly. Make me an agility roll. Sorry.
15?
Awesome. So Chase goes first.
I revoke your invitation. Leave my home.
I need you to make me an eagle roll now, please.
I'm one short. I'm at 14.
The smile on its face grows even a little wider.
You don't have the will to revoke us.
She says, fuck it. I'm assuming that was her,
Yeah, her response as he's saying. Okay.
Yeah, it's its turn now.
Well, you can still move
Oh,
if you choose.
she would have tucked her self-defense keychain back in her purse or in her little key bowl by the door, which unfortunately she's going to have to get around this thing to get to. So let's start that dance, I suppose.
Okay. Do you break left or right around it, as left will take you a more circumnavigational route around the outside rim of the room, but there might be more things to use as weapons. Or do you break right, which is a more direct route, but might make you more vulnerable because there's less stuff on the way?
Right.
All right. So you break right and feel the adrenaline as your bare feet press against the old wood floors. You slam into one of the old drywall and wood slat walls. It cracks, and you hear very distantly a voice, "Hey, keep it down on there." From downstairs. And a little tiny part of you wishes that you could take a moment to appreciate Mr. Russell's cantankerousness, but the rest of you is greatly relieved as your hand reaches over and you feel your hand grab the self-defense keychain, little spiky device that was in the bowl next to your phone.
Great. She is going to slip that on her hand and really hope that the next thing she does doesn't burn the place down.
All right. It will lunge across the room. It comes at you pretty quickly, so you may make, and since this is a melee attack roll, you may make an agility defense roll.
Oh, fuck. So that's 3 6s. Agility defense score is 20?
He doesn't hit you anyway. You feel the fingertips graze the back of your calf as you pull your foot out just in time. Much like when a cat decides to take a swipe at the back of your leg and only gets just the tip of its beans right on the back of your leg. You feel the immense amount of power behind that claw as it takes that swipe. For the first time, it's more than just panic that this thing is in my house, now that there's some real fear in there. It takes one step up onto the couch and over so that it is facing you face on now. But you have the keychain in your hand and it is your turn.
Okay, so this is one of those keychains it's not unusual for you to, if you're walking to your car at night alone. It's the sort of thing that you might slip on your hand. The idea being that if someone does come at you, you might at least maybe take out their eye a little bit, or it'll help you give a little bit more of a punch, something that will help you break away long enough to scream for help. But when Chase uses this, she focuses on it a little bit, and she's gonna do the thing.
You roll like you're gonna roll a normal attack, and you let me know the result. You actually have an edge because this is literally your house. And it came into this is your ground turf. It doesn't get much more home turf than your home.
Okay. And is this 11 times 3 is 33, plus 3 is 36.
All right. It takes you back just a moment to when you were a kid, actually, and sitting on a couch with your Uncle Johnny. And Johnny had brought a Super Nintendo, his old Super Nintendo. And it seemed old even then. It was all junky and covered in stickers. But you guys sat and you played video games all afternoon. And one of them that you remember was playing this game called Super Punch-Out. This little guy that would jump up and punch people in the face. And both you and Johnny fell about the place. You laughed for days. Well, now it feels like that's an accurate description as this thing towers over you and Chase leaps into the air with this spiked, chained ball in her hand and collides with the elongated now face of this eyeless abomination. It seems taken aback that you would dare to reach up and hit it in such a manner.
So she has now infused the keychain with hellfire. It elongates around her knuckles, sharpens in certain places, and takes on an aspect at one end of a scythe, and the chain that would normally attach it to the rest of her keychain elongates and thickens, much more like the chain that might be used as a restraint or a punishment. And it's all crackling with fire and there's almost this smell of sulfur.
Wonderful. As these snaps and pops and crackles happen around you, and you feel a little bad because you do see that it's kind of singeing the throw pills on the couch. But you can't think about that at the moment. You've got a big, terrifying thing in front of you. It is still recuperating from the mighty blow that you struck to its chin. You can see there's burned flesh up this thing's face. Now it's smeared almost like hot wax, and it lets out a hearty bellow as it leaps towards your face with both hands. It looks like this thing has just gone absolutely ape bananas.
She's going to hold her ground and try to time her next strike so that... All right. She's going to... Shaking hands with the thing that sort of has taken up residence in her soul was a decision that she does not necessarily regret. She's very nervous about it. And they haven't really set ground rules because every time they've tried to talk, there's not a whole lot of talking that happens. So she's leery about it, but she does take a moment to try to sort of connect with it.
On the wall beside you, there is a mirror. You just use it to check your hair and stuff before you go, that kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. You look at your reflection in it and you see the burning skull look at you. It's mimicking your movements except for the head. You've got its attention.
Can you help me get it out? Can you make it leave?
It nods, not even slowly. It's pretty confident in its nod, and it looks up at the creature and then looks at you, and the chains in the reflection whip and curl like snakes.
Do I have to let you drive?
It gives a very slow and purposeful nod.
Okay. And she mentally takes a back seat, which is not something she enjoys.
You open the mental door, and there's a rush of fire and blood and gasoline and the smell of hot metal and chains. And everything that is Chase Blaze is sublimated. And you hear a voice deep, deep inside. I'll give the wheel back when I'm done. I'm going to bring it to a close there for tonight. This is issue 2 of the Marvel Multiverse saga known as Anger Management. We will see all of you very soon with the next installment. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all my listeners. And thank you especially our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much, and good night.